Welcome to Slippery Rock Sports Forum. I'm Madeline Williams, and our three panelists are Tim Durr, Zach Smith, and Bill Kostkas. Tonight we will focus on topics from Slippery Rock, other colleges, and professional sports. Our 4-minute timer will be slightly different tonight, as we will give our first topic an extra 4 minutes because we are going to debate several subtopics of the same main topic. Tim will start off since he is our defending champ. Our first topic is the BCS. Let's just start off with a reaction to Boise State losing this weekend and Auburn fighting back to beat Alabama by 1 point. Go ahead and start off the debate, Tim.
All right, well, first of all, Boise State, you let me down. I thought when I was watching games on Friday, I thought it was all going to go good. I saw that Alabama, they were beating Auburn handily. It was 24-0 at halftime. I'm like, my prediction's coming true. Alabama's going to beat Auburn. Boise State's going to beat Nevada. No. Auburn comes back and wins that game by a point. Boise State can't kick a field goal, and they broke my heart on that topic. So just discussing those two topics, I think it's a situation where the BCS won out on this one, because if Auburn would have lost that game and Boise State would have won, as both those games could have gone either way, it would have been the BCS worst nightmare. But they got a lucky break once again, so we're probably going to have 10 more years of the BCS.
Well, what I have to say about it is, you got to feel bad for Boise, but thank God. I mean, seriously, I was so tired of hearing about how Boise deserved this, Boise deserved that. They finally lost to someone within their conference. Thank goodness. But as far as the Auburn-Alabama game goes, Auburn gave up 21 first-half points. So that was really, uncharacteristic of them, I thought. But then they were able to fight back behind Cam Newton, and Alabama just gave the game away. It was a great game. Both games were great. And you really have to feel bad for the Boise State kicker. I heard he may be transferring or something like that. Due to what happened over the weekend. So just hope that Boise State can win their bowl game, maybe, possibly. I don't know.
We were this close to seeing the end of the BCS. We were close to seeing everybody's nightmare. But if you take a look at it, I think if Boise State's kicker makes either one of those kicks, just the fact that they didn't beat Nevada by 3-4 touchdowns, upwards of that, the computer would have looked at that and said, hell with you, and they get bumped down, maybe get jumped by TCU or whoever else was behind them. As for Auburn, them and Cam Newton, they've done what they've done all year. It's probably, I think, their 5th or 6th comeback on their schedule, from a halftime deficit. So I wasn't surprised. I was surprised to see them down. Was a 24-0 at halftime to Bama, but that was when I had returned from the backyard brawl. God help us. Don't get me started on the Big East. That's what we should get into later. But with Newton, doesn't surprise me. I expect them to win big in the SEC title game and go to the national title. Yeah,
I felt like, well, the thing that I want to ask you discuss now, since we have some subtopics to discuss that we're kind of just making up as we go, of Auburn jumping Oregon, moving to #1 now. A 1-point win, they were down 24, is a big comeback and everything. But Oregon, they handled Arizona pretty handedly. It wasn't really a contest. It was close in the first half, going back and forth. Then they started to open up and pull away. I just don't understand how Auburn's able to jump up with a 1-point win over Alabama whenever, Oregon, they just did their job. I mean, both these teams, if they win their last game, they're going to be in the national championship. But it's just one of those things that I don't feel like it's right that Auburn should have jumped over Oregon.
That's a good point that you bring up, actually. But as you said, it really doesn't matter as long as both teams make the national championship as far as the 1-2 ranking. Mm-hmm. So that's really not a big concern for me. What I'm really worried about is what bowl is Boise State going to end up in. Also, would be something interesting to see. And TCU figuring out where they're going to be playing in the postseason as well.
TCU is probably going to go to the Rose Bowl. With that spot, it's either, it's usually Big Ten, Pac-10 game, but it's probably going to be TCU because they're the highest, non-automatic qualifier. But yeah, Boise State, what are they going to play in, the Holiday Sun Bowl or something now?
They just might be in that, they're not going undefeated, but they might be just on the outside of the BCS. I see TCU getting in. That's who's probably going to get the winner of the Big East, which is looking like UConn, who I don't even think is ranked because that conference is just a pile of garbage. But as for #2 jumping #1, I really, as Zach elaborated on, I don't think that makes a difference at all. They've still got to win their last game, and Auburn has the SEC championship against South Carolina. So as long as you're in that top 2, you're golden.
Yeah, definitely. That's some things. What about Stanford jumping up now to number 4? They got a wild outside chance. Say, Auburn falls apart, loses. Maybe I think if Oregon loses, it would be better for Stanford to have a chance to get in there. TCU's idle this week. They're just waiting to find out what bowl they're going to play in. So if Stanford wins their final game of the season, maybe Oregon loses, then you have Stanford possibly playing for a national championship. But this could all be fixed if we get rid of the BCS. There wouldn't be any of this discussion of who deserves to be in this spot, who deserves to be in this spot. And it'd be some type of playoff system where, maybe Boise State could have that game where they don't play their best game, lose to Nevada. They get in as one of the final seeds, and they upset, they say they play Alabama in the first round, beat them, and then win a couple of games. They could still have a chance for a championship. So could teams like Alabama, Stanford, Wisconsin, all these one-loss teams who, lost the game earlier in the season, and now they're not going to get to play for a national championship because Oregon and Auburn will be there. They're undefeated. They deserve it, but these other teams deserve a chance. It's
kind of interesting to think about how we were saying about Boise State ending up on the outside, looking in terms of a BCS bowl game, whereas some teams in a bigger conference with one loss are still getting the opportunity to play in a major BCS bowl.
Well, even Alabama with 3 losses has a chance to be up there.
So with that's unfair, and I can see where you're coming from. But I'd like to throw this out there if we have some time to touch on this. As far as the playoffs for football, what would your ideal situation be for both of you guys if they were to move to a playoff system?
I would say just have your top 8 go in, and you play just like the NFL. The highest plays your lowest. You can still have your bowl games. You just have it by round. You could have your Rose Bowl or whatever in the first round, then your Fiesta Bowl in the second round.
Now, would your top 8 be classified as ranking per se, or more of a conference winners? Because
I think you can go either way. But if you're in a transitional phase, the first couple tries, have it with your rankings. If you want to move on to your conferences or go to 4 power conferences like they were trying to earlier this year, I think that would work better.
Yeah, you can still make your money as far as
you can still have your bowls and your sponsors,
and also. Any team that isn't in the, how NASCAR does the chase for the cup. Everyone's still playing, but, there's only those select few that are playing for the national title. So if you're outside the top 8 or whatever, would there still be a bowl-like system for the other
I think
I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, you should still keep all the other bowl games, give those guys, a chance to play for some pride, play for a reasoning. I'd do it a little different. I'd probably do like a 16-team deal. Maybe get rid of all the conference championship games and everything, so teams aren't playing 12 games. Maybe knock it back to like an 11-game season. Get rid of conference championships in that 12th game, and so there's more room for these playoff games. And probably do something like conference winners, because what is there, like 10? There's like 8, 9 conferences now. So you have 8 or 9 conference winners, and then you're at large bids. It'd be the same. There'd still be the same jargon involved. You could still use computer rankings to get these other guys who fill in these at large spots, and the BCS would still be happy because they'd still have their debate of who deserves number 15, number 16. So the drama would still be there, which is the one reason I think they don't go away from it, because it's always something to talk about. Well, I think every episode we've talked about the BCS, and that's what they love. They love people talking about the BCS. So they'd still have that talk, and they'd also have a playoff system set up. So you have these 10 teams, automatic qualifiers. Now you got the 6 teams that there's going to be some talk about, and there's going to be some people saying, oh, this team deserves to be in, this team doesn't. But in the end, you get 16 teams that are all deserving enough, and they get to actually play on the field for who deserves to be champion.
Well, it's college football, so that with that said, there's enough excitement in that as it is. So, and then you throw playoffs in there. You never know what's going to happen, as you said, with Boise possibly upsetting whoever they're playing, or some of the at-large bids getting in and surprising somebody. So I think the main reason, as far as you were saying with the drama and everything, that's a key why they haven't moved away. But I also feel that it's the money. They're making a bunch of money off this, the conferences, the teams. Everyone's making the money. So I feel that that's one of the main reasons why they're not pulling away from the computer system.
I would say one thing, if they're not going to go to a playoff format, one thing you can do is get rid of this automatic bids. If you look at what the Big East has now, they're so bad. None of those teams deserve a bid. So now you have a team like Boise who maybe deserves to get in on the outside. Give it to them. You gotta be able to qualify.
Yeah, there definitely should be something like that, where it's set up in more of there's not like the automatic, not automatic qualifiers and everything like that. So
and as of 2 o'clock today, TCU is now a Big East team, so maybe the Big East is a little bit better.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that later.
Okay, now that we have discussed our first topic, let's take a look at the scores. Tim, I have you at 7, Bill, you have 6, and Zach, you have 5. Now we'll move into our second topic of the night, the fight that occurred between Tennessee's Cortland Finnegan and Houston's Andre Johnson. Every once in a while, we see tempers flare in football and fights break out. What should the penalty be for Johnson and Finnegan from this fight? Bill, you can start this topic off.
I would say upwards of $75,000, just like they did to James Harrison. I think as of this evening, both of them were fined only 25 grams, the same as the Seymour punch to Ben Roethlisberger's jaw. But the message the NFL sends is you can drop your gloves, take your helmets off, and throw a couple punches to the face, but in between whistles, when the play's over, but you can't hit the quarterback when it's your job to do so while the play's going on. It doesn't make sense. I think it's hypocritical.
I think that, as you said, it's only 25,000 as of now, but no suspensions are coming, which I'm very surprised.
They're not going to suspend them.
Which is very, as far as everything with Harrison and everything that's going on, it's really surprising actually to think that they're not going to at least suspend these guys to one game apiece. If you watch the footage, you can see, it's been building up, and they're both rivals in the conference. So a fight really doesn't surprise me. But, Finnegan, he's always, talking, causing trouble. He's been in a couple altercations before on the field, and I feel he got what he deserved. I'm a Texans fan, so I was grinning ear to ear whenever I saw the footage. So as far as that goes, what I deem necessary is a couple game suspension and at least $75,000 because, they're fighting. It's not hockey.
Yeah.
Although I wish they would implement something like that. That was exciting to see whenever they were out there throwing punches. It was very exciting, but I'm surprised that there's no suspensions.
Yeah, it was definitely exciting. Got people's blood flowing. One thing that I know a lot of people have been saying lately about the Tennessee Titans that they're a gritty team. That they've been doing this to people all year. It just hasn't gone that far. And Cortland Finnegan, he's a very passionate player, and he was getting under Johnson's skin the entire game. I would have liked to have been in one of their helmets, maybe get some NFL films footage of what he was saying. But I definitely think that there should be fines involved. If you're going to give fines for helmet-to-helmet hits, things that are closer to being unintentional than that. That was all set up. They chose to fight each other. That was not accidentally leading with your head or something like that, or hitting a quarterback's helmet with your hand when you're trying to knock the ball down. So I think there definitely should have been fines included on it, upwards of $75,000, like you've all said, higher than what James Harrison got or equivalent to him, and also probably a one-game suspension or maybe even a higher fine, $150,000 fine, no suspension. I would have felt better about that. I mean, the fight didn't get too serious. A couple punches were thrown, some pushing and shoving. So it wasn't too serious, but he hit him in the head. So I mean, I thought it would be $1 million fine.
Yeah.
Helmet, they're all worried about head injuries, so a hit to the head's really a big deal. So I don't know what's going on with it.
I think a game check might have been, just take a game check from them, let it be. If you're not going to suspend them, take a game check from them at least. But like you were saying, as far as nothing really happening, there really was, it was. Just a few punches thrown. It's like a fight on the playground whenever you're younger, something like that. So it wasn't too serious. I'm surprised Goodell isn't making a statement with this because this is a perfect time to do so. And also, as you were saying about James Harrison, I believe that his appeal hasn't been. There's no verdict on it yet. So with this could further help him.
A few hours ago, they actually just rejected him.
So that's very hypocritical then. In that they're going to let guys fist fight on there, but Harrison goes in, hits a quarterback, whatever, lays on top of him, or whatever's been happening every week. He's getting hit with something, so he does something like that, and he gets fined for it. Mm-hmm. Yet these guys are out here throwing punches, whatever, taking each other's helmets off. Finnegan ripped, that could have been serious.
They tore each other's helmets off.
Yeah, if he would have caught his, hand in his,
it could have been serious
broke his
injuries.
neck. So, and Harrison's nothing's, there's no injuries caused from that. So I just don't understand.
I think it's just like you said. We've both said it's very hypocritical, and I'm going to be a homer here. I think it's it's not fair because they're targeting the Steelers. Yeah, homer, deal with it.
It's all about the Steelers.
Harrison just got rejected. If you look at the Harrison replay, he got flagged in Buffalo. The referee's actually grabbing his flag before contact is even made. So
okay, now we'll take a quick commercial break and come back with the final three topics of the night.